Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. This is the E011C flying SantaQuad. No quick specs today, let's just go fly.
All right, we're going to take this guy for a little fly. I'm going to power this on first. I'll power on the radio. It'll auto bind, I bet. There you go. So I'm going to turn this on now. It's bound. Alright, we got two modes. Now there's really not much to this remote, but there's got return to home on over on this when you press down on the stick. I won't be using that. If you long press this down, probably when it's on the ground, it switches from brick mode to power saving mode. And that seems to just regulate the amount of power it will give to the motors, because of course with the Lego man on top, it is going to take more energy to make it fly, so you can switch into that other mode with the long press of 3 seconds on the right stick. Also, your flips and rolls come from here, but we're going to do that right away when we take off. So let's go right for a flip or roll. That was quick. Hopefully you can hear that music. You see it's got, you know, for not having any rates, it's fairly aggressive. Let's fly it around a bit. Oh, got behind me a little bit. Let's see if we can still do a flip or roll. I've flown this a few times. I need to trim this back a little bit. Get back up out of the prop wash. Yeah, it'll still do a roll. Something else I want to do is a little punch. Let's go down, 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 and 1, 2, 3. So that's, whoa, full throttle off and back on, give you an idea of the catchability and the power of the motors. So down. Let's fly it some more. Almost crashed into myself there. Whoa. Oh. Okay, we're okay. Oh, let's try again. I wonder if we got hooked on some carpet there. There we go. Oh, almost went right into that bookcase. Basement's still not finished. You know the yaw? Let's get that out in front. Do the yaw. It seems almost like it's slow, but in flight it actually flies pretty well. Rango can't be bothered over there. He's trying to take a nap. It's got 2 songs it plays. You could probably hear those and recognize those if you're familiar. That's not, whoop, that's not full stick on those pirouettes I was doing out front. Oh, now you can see we're flashing lights. Let's see how much we can fly now that it's flashing. I do like that they used blue and red, but I think it'd be more fitting if it were white and red, don't you think? That is not full pitch forward, full throttle, so we're still good to go. Whoa. I don't fly much line of sight anymore. I just love FPV so much, and I think this one has some FPV potential. Basically, we've seen this same sort of configuration on Banggood's website with other Lego figures as well. Well, that's the end of our battery. So I'll put the flight time on the screen. You can see now we've got the quick flash and the music has stopped. So 2 ways of knowing that you are out of juice, but one is that it won't fly anymore. Let's take it back to the bench and take a deeper dive into what we've got underneath the canopy here.
I guess the nitty-gritty, since we didn't really cover it before we just went and flew it. This is the box it comes in. Not much inside the box. It comes with a screwdriver, it comes with an extra set of props, and it comes with a USB charger. I don't recommend using the USB charger unless you don't have a regular charger. Also in the box was the extra set of connector pieces from the body to the legs, and an extra arm. That could have just been a packing mistake. You might get random other bits extra in yours. Let's weigh our Lego Brickman. Our Lego Brickman weighs 3.91 grams. The canopy weighs a little bit over 1 gram. The battery, as you see there, is a single cell, or 1S, 260 milliamp, 30C rated. It does come with the Power Whoop or PH2 connector there. That is the larger connector. pH 2.0, I believe. The battery weighs 8.56 grams. The machine naked weighs 22.57 grams. You can see there how it's mounted and the mounting holes available yet to use. We've got the antenna here. These are our 2 leads that go to the music maker, which you can kind of see down there. It's pretty chunky. I'm a little bit surprised by that. You can also see they've got some nice color coordination, so if you needed to replace the motors, if you get stock motors, it'll be real easy to replace those. You can see we've got tabs in here to hold the wires nice and neat underneath. Let's take that music maker out and see what it weighs. Before we get too deep, if you were going to do this yourself, I would suggest, because they used 2 red wires, that we mark one of the red wires. Whoops. And we just put a little permanent black on one of those. And I'm going to put a little mark over here to indicate the black wire goes on this side. To keep the quad down, I'm going to use a little bit of blue tack on the motor pods here, just to make sure it doesn't move around on me much, because soldering these little things can be tricky enough, let alone if you're moving around on me. And I did get the TS100 soldering iron. So many people were raving about that I had to get one for myself. Sorry why I jiggered the camera and clean my tip. Good and clean tip. Probably the thing I like most about this soldering iron is how quickly it gets warm. Turned it on just moments ago and it's all ready to go. My old one took a while, but you know, it was $11 and it worked. Alright, so you can see there, it looks like we've got some foam around the outer edge, and then we've got what looks to be a speaker. We'll take a better look at that. So here we go. Here is our little music maker. Once you put power, it is on. See, I've got my little black mark here. Let's take a look at the weight of this. The little speaker weighs 2.69 grams. The solder tabs aren't marked down here, which is plus and which is minus, so it's a good thing we already marked them. Of course, you can use a meter to figure out which is ground and which is negative, but one of the things that I would do, like if you're going to turn this into an FPV quad, you just get a little all-in-one camera like this. This one is the VM275T. You can pick out your favorite camera. This is just one as a sample I had on hand. We've just got 2 leads on here, changing channels up here, and a whip antenna. This comes in at about 3.6 grams. So if you lose the Lego Man and you lose the speaker, you'll actually be lighter when you add this back. And plus the canopy as well. You wouldn't need that anymore because you would just be sticking this with foam tape right down to the top. But what I would do, instead of, you can use a meter and you can figure out which one of those pads is positive. Let's see, is it labeled? My eyes aren't great. Okay, so SP1 is on the inside and SP2 is on the outside. Without using a meter, it's not marked clearly, plus or minus, anything like that. So I think a better way to hook up your FPV camera is to go right down here to the leads that go to the battery connector. It's clearly labeled minus and plus, but these labels on these PCBs can be mislabeled sometimes, so I always like to check. And one way to check is just to line up your battery. Okay, so the battery plugs in. You see the little notch here? Let me get my finger out of the way. This little notch. And so that notch on our battery will line up in there. So we see that when we line things up, indeed, negative is on what would be visually the right-hand side, and positive is on the left-hand side. So if you were going to hook up your camera, you would place it, you know, everything secured down again, of course. I would probably move the antenna a little bit over, maybe run it like this. Little piece of foam tape right under there, maybe a secondary piece to create some angle back if you wanted to fly fast forward. Then I would take my lead and I would shorten it up because you don't want that extra weight. And then black wire on the B- over here on the right, positive over here on the B+. And then you've got yourself a little tiny whoop. I think I'm going to put mine back together because the kids did enjoy hearing the Christmas music come from a quad. And one thing it might do is, you know, if you have this at Christmas time, be able to introduce family members in kind of a fun and interesting and maybe a kitschy way to FPV or to quads. You might have this around and just kind of fly it when everybody's opening Christmas presents. It might make for some entertaining video. I think it is relatively cheap. I think it's less than $20. A camera like this, you can pick these up somewhere between $14 and $25 depending upon which one you go for. Of course, you want to stay light. Some people prefer a circular polarized antenna. I do a lot with linear antenna, but it's going to really depend on your environment and how well that reception works and any goggles you might have. Doing this, you know, picking up one of these, adding this, picking up some inexpensive goggles like the VR006. These are, at one point in time, these were real cheap, like 35 bucks. So you might be able to shop around and find these. Of course, you can find them from Banggood as well, and I'll put a link to these things down below. So 35 bucks, and let's say 20 just for round numbers, so that's 55. I know there's a kit for $65, but I think this one flies better. Myself, I think it flies better. And then you have this machine for another 15 or 20 bucks. So, you know, that's about the price point you're looking at to get started in FPV, if that's what you're wanting to do, or introduce somebody to FPV. Pretty good kit. I was pretty happy with how this flew. As far as the frame goes and you know, its structure, it feels a lot like the E010, I think it was, and it's flexible but not flimsy. You can see it moves around a fair bit, but we didn't see any vibrations really in the flight that we saw. Of course, when we do FPV, that's much more sensitive. There you can see where I got hung up on the carpet. If you can see that hair in my fingers, you can see where they've kind of built up the feet to where the bottom part of the can won't come down too far. You just be careful when you're pressing on the top of these things. You can push the bottom of the can out, and then your motor's probably hosed. Or if you have the expertise, you can try to repair it. But I'm probably going to put mine back together and fly it a few more times, especially keep it around at the holidays. Then after the holidays, I'll probably put this camera on it and just fly it with this little remote control. These knobs, let's see, they do remove. So if you wanted to, you can extend those up a little bit for a little finer control. Maybe get some glue, stick them up there like that. Or you can take some nylon standoffs and put those on there. And then, you know, do some DIY stuff to extend those sticks even further if you wanted to get some really fine controls. There's also a possibility that if you have a Devo remote, that you can bind this up using the same protocols of some of the others. But that's going to vary. You're going to need to go to the Deviation TX website and look up that protocol that they use. There's a lot of people over there that can help, so if you're interested in doing that and you have a Devo with Deviation TX on it, that can be a way of enhancing your skills in flight instead of using these. Like, I'm a pincher by nature, but I was flying that with thumbs. And it's very controllable. I don't have any real complaints about it. Matter of fact, I would say this flew better than the $65 all-in-one kit that I had that comes with the same sort of setup. Although I do think the remote was slightly larger in that. But I already gave it away. I don't have it to compare. But there you go. There's the SantaQuad. I'll have links to these various bits. I'll see if I can find a link to this camera. If you guys are interested, that always comes up. I forget a link and somebody calls me, but I appreciate that everybody watches the video so closely to where they let me know when I've forgotten to link something I said I would. But yeah, I would look for some extra batteries and have some good fun with this. I was pretty pleased with how it flew and the two modes. I fully expect to get much longer flight time with the power saving mode, but it might also affect how quickly or how much it pitches. But I wanted to fly it with the Santa Claus because that's probably how I'm going to do it in the next month or two here until we get well past the holidays. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the section down below. I will put the flight time and power saving mode in the description if you have any questions about that. I appreciate your time and thanks for watching.